Give me that stick. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab it. Give me that stick. Give it to me. Give me that stick. Oh, thanks, dude. I just washed my car. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, and thanks for that. Hey guys, what's going on? I had an absolute blast in Arizona. It was really good seeing my dad, and I guess I didn't really outline this in my last video, but it's actually been 2.5 years since I've seen my dad, and that's the longest we've ever gone without seeing each other. And there was a lot of you that asked a good question. How was your dad surprised if he was at the airport? He thought he was there to pick up his fiance's father. Well, like I said, I should have said that in the video. And his fiance actually got a better angle of his reaction when I walk up. But when she tried to send me the file, it was all grainy and stuff, so I didn't end up using it. And I was really shocked to see all the positive comments that you guys left about the cinematography. A few of you asked if I had any previous film experience or if I went to film school or anything like that. Other than a few video projects, man, I mean, I'm self-taught. Like, I try to learn as I go. And really, the concept of film editing is very simple. The only really challenging part about it is to cut it up and display it in a way that's interesting for people to watch. I have ADD really bad, so whenever I watch a video, I like a lot of quick segments. That's what keeps my attention. So that was kind of the concept behind what I did, and I guess you guys liked it. So being a canine handler has a lot of liability behind it. Anybody that's looking into getting into canine, I highly recommend you research anything having to do with search and seizure or case laws that pertain to it. And I've had a lot of funny experiences over the years, and I've also heard some pretty good stories from other officers. And one of the funniest memories I have is when I was still in canine school. You know, every morning me and my partner would get up and we'd start getting our dogs ready for the day. And we were staying at our trainer's house. He was letting us stay there so we didn't have to stay in the dorm. And every morning that we would get up and we would start getting our dogs ready for the day, it never failed. Our trainer's dog always shit in his kennel. It was like every morning this dog wanted to wake up and play on a shit slip and slide. I remember his dog's name was Caden, and it was like he was Puppy Picasso wanting to paint shit all over his kennel. Here's Dog Ross over here wanting to paint like a shit tree with a shitty river in the middle and some shitty clouds. And we'll put a nice little shitty bush over here. I remember one of the funniest stories I was ever told was one morning while we were at canine training. We're standing around, and the lead guy is like, man, something really bad happened last night. And of course, like, we're all like a bunch of gossipy girls. We're like, what happened? So apparently there was an officer on the highway, and this was a interdiction officer. So all he dealt with was drugs and money. That's the only two things he was looking for. He stops a car. He knew that they had dope in the car. So he called for a canine officer to come over and confirm it. Well, apparently at the time, the dog had been having seizures, and the handler wasn't aware of it. I guess at this point, it was still early on. The dog wasn't really showing any symptoms. So the canine officer gets there, and the guy that was stopped and the guy that stopped him were both standing on the side of the road. Canine handler gets out of his car. He didn't know it at the time, but his dog was actually in a seizure, and he was coming out of a seizure as he was opening up the back door. Well, the dog is like super confused right now because he just came out of a seizure, obviously. And without any warning whatsoever, this dog launches out of the back of the car and bites his handler on the chest where his vest is. Not only does he bite him, but he won't let him go. So this handler freaks out and he's running up and down the highway like Ace Ventura and the White Bat, and he can't get this damn dog off of him. So finally he runs to the back of his car, he like shoves the dog inside, and he like pries his mouth open and shuts the door. And he like puts his back to the patrol car, and he's like taking deep breaths. Without any hesitation whatsoever, the guy on the side of the road looks at the officer that stopped him, and he's like, man, it's in the center console. This dude had no hesitation and totally ratted himself out right away. He told the officer later on, he's like, man, if that dog did that to his own handler, I don't know what he would do to me. It turns out the guy had like a pound of weed and like cocaine and stuff like that in his center console. He wanted no part of that Tasmanian devil. To me, my canine was the best tool I had. Not only did he find drugs for me, but he was also a wonderful deterrent. Nobody wanted to challenge you when you had your dog next to you. You can point your gun at somebody and they'll look at you and be like, I bet you won't do it. You pull that dog out? All right, man, here's what I took from the store. And I think the reason why people are so scared of police canines is they know the officer has to show restraint. We have a use of force continuum that we have to follow. Now, they don't call it a continuum anymore, but we have different levels of force that we have to abide by. When that dog is released, it's a whole different story. I remember one night we were at a bar, and I've talked about it in another video. We always had to shut it down. Well, my partner ended up making an arrest, and there was a female in the back of his car. Well, some guy kept coming up, and I think the windows were cracked, and some guy kept coming up and talking to her through the window. So my partner told him, he's like, hey dude, you need to back up from the car. The guy just totally ignored him. So he yelled at him, he's like, hey, I told you step back from the car. And the guy like waves him off or whatever and keeps talking. So finally my partner walks up there and he puts his hand on the guy's shoulder and the guy totally windmills him. He's like, man, don't fucking touch me. And then he like starts squaring up with my partner like he was gonna fight him. And he was just being drunk and stupid, but at least he had a little bit of smarts about him. Finally, we had enough of this guy, right? So I'm like, dude, I tell you what, I got something for you. So I walk to my car and I get out my dog. This guy stops dead in his tracks, turns around and walks back into the club without saying a single word. It was funny because my dog didn't even know what was going on. Like, I didn't give him any commands or anything like that. I didn't get him out aggressively. Like, he wasn't amped up. My dog was just standing there like, oh, cool party. Well, that is it for today, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. For whatever reason, man, like, I'm starting to get into that writer's block again. I've started noticing a pattern. Like, I'll have writer's block for a few weeks and then I have some great ideas and I'll pump out a bunch of videos. But right now is that writer's block segment. So if you guys have any ideas for things that you want to see or hear me talk about, just let me know and I'll look in the comments below. But I appreciate everybody's support and I hope everyone had a awesome weekend. The channel seems to be calming down again, so I know I've been able to get back with more of you than usual. 10 comments aren't coming in every second, so it's a lot easier to reply back to you guys. But I hope you have a fantastic day, and like I said, if you guys have any ideas, let me know, and I will see you soon.